About 10 years ago, I watched a video on YouTube done by a guy in Florida. Probably the hardest video I've ever watched. He sat in front of his house and talked about the last day of his wife's life. And this video is going to be very similar to that. On January the 8th, 2019, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. So that's a little over 3 years ago. That day, within a couple of hours, she had the surgery. Thank you, Tom. She had her left breast removed. And let me tell you, that is a major surgery, a lot more than I ever thought it was. They don't just go in there and lop it off and that's done. All the meat on the rib cage, the entire length of your rib cage all the way around is removed. It's major surgery. Took about 3 hours or something like that. Pretty big deal, you know, for a woman, that's for sure. She was in the hospital for about 5 days. They didn't really want her to leave, but she was ready to go home, that's for sure. So she came home and had to be very careful because she still had drains and for infection and hoses and tubes everywhere, and I had to go back to see the doctor once a week, but it worked out. When that was all done, that was the easy part. When that was done, it was chemo time. I can't remember how many chemo sessions she had, but chemo wasn't too bad for her. The first 2 days after chemo, the day of chemo, the next day, she wasn't sick at all. It was the third day that it really hit her hard each time, and she lost her hair and all that. Yeah, I got to shave my wife's head. That's a little difficult, let me tell you. It was a lot harder for me than it was for her. I've been shaving my own head for 20-something years. Lily, you're a mess. But shaving your wife's head, different altogether, let me tell you. I got dogs and ducks everywhere. After that, it was radiation. She did 25 radiation treatments, 5 a week, every afternoon, 5 days a week, for 5 weeks. After about the 20th, something like that, 18th or 20th time, she started to turn black. Her entire, it's full side that was radiated, and she turned black, jet black, front and back, right through. They all don't bite that. And that was a little weird, like burnt black, How anybody can survive that, it's pretty amazing. After that, she started to feel good, and that's when we did the trip to Chiang Mai. She wanted to go to Chiang Mai. I never ever wanted to go to Chiang Mai. It was never interesting to me. There's no ocean and very few boats. Like, why go, right? But I did enjoy Chiang Mai. I'll go back again sometime. So we got to do that. She wanted to see all the temples. Chiang Mai is just packed with beautiful temples, and she wanted to go see that. So we did that. If anybody who's watched those videos, they're on my channel called Mad Videos. I changed the name of that channel. It's called Mad Videos now. Link is in the video description. She ain't in very many of the videos, but the 5 or 6 that she is in, every video she has different hair. Long and short and different lengths, and the short hair is hers. All the other ones is wigs. We bought a bunch of wigs. And that was a pretty good trip. That was in October of 2019. So like 10 months after all this nightmare started. In January 2020 is when we did the trip to Pitchibun. We went camping. She started having back problems around that time. Wasn't real bad then, but it was about when it started. I don't have all the timeline memorized, but sometime in early 2020 she went for an MRI and they found a tumor on her spine. Now the strange thing about CAT scans and MRIs, and unfortunately I know way too much information about hospitals, Thailand hospitals and cancer and all that stuff now, but how the MRIs and all that stuff work is it's done here, can be in a government hospital, private hospital, a private clinic, don't matter. All the information is sent to Bangkok and someone in Bangkok does the interpretation. Lily, what do you want, man? Nobody can see you. Aww. And then they send out a report, and this happens within an hour. It's really, really fast. You know, this is not Western medicine. Stuff here happens fast. The hospitals, the government hospitals are packed and there's a lot of waiting in those. But other than that, Thailand hospital is really good. Within an hour you got those results, but the results are in English, which seems very strange. So the first time she got this back, she was at the hospital with the doctor, and I went to the gas station to fuel up. And she got this information and she didn't understand it, so she took a picture of it and sent it to me. And I didn't understand it either. So I asked Uncle Google, what is bone mastocytosis? And the long story short is, that tumor on her spine was bone mastocytosis. And bone mastocytosis is a death sentence. The doctors never told her that, and I kept it on the down low, but you know, she knew it was bad. But as far as I was concerned, it was a death sentence. Radiation, five treatments of radiation killed that tumor. And the pain was gone instantly. It's how fast that happens, you know. It just killed it dead and removed it. No surgery or nothing. Gone. Towards the end of, we're in 2020, right? Towards the end of 2020, she's in a lot of pain. The cancer had spread to her lungs at this stage. She was on chemo again, lost her hair again, shaved her head again, and I had my house up for sale in Pattaya, which is 7.5, 8 hours from here, and it sold. And I didn't even know if we should go, right? Like, and she's like, no, I'm good, we'll go. And the lady that bought it was a Thai lady, and we were straight above board with her, and we told her straight up, if we can do it, we will. If she, you know, because there's a lot of running around and selling stuff and going to this office and that office and all of that, and we'll do it when she can. And the lady was very fine, easy to work with, beyond easy, very accommodating, and it worked out pretty good, you know. It probably went a day longer than it should have, but it got done. We sold the house, and we came home. That was, I think it was the 4th of December, we sold the house. Late in December, the back pain was back, and now it was lower back and upper back that was the problem. Went to the hospital, and the doctor ordered an MRI We went to the private hospital, and they didn't have the MRI machine, so they sent her to a private clinic that had it. And we get to the clinic, and she said, I don't just want what the doctor asked for, I want full body scan. I want to know what's going on, right? I want the full story. And it's private clinic, you're paying for it anyway. And so we got it done. I said, that's a really good idea, get it done. She had very good health insurance, so it didn't matter. The thing about around here, the private hospitals don't offer radiation or chemo treatment at all. So you got to go to a government hospital for that. And everything else, like the surgery and everything, was done in a private hospital. The only difference between the private and the government hospital really is the number of people there. The private hospitals you get in right away, and the government hospitals are packed, beyond packed. People sleeping in the hallways, kind of packed, you know, all the time. So from that MRI, found out she had 5 more tumors. 4 on her spine and 1 on her shoulder blade. And that's when the doctors started giving her the bad news, really. Not so much smile and be happy, but the radiation doctor said to her, when he looked at the reports, he said, I don't think I can help you, but I'll try. And that's when it really hit her that this is really, really serious. And she was in the hospital quite a while that time. And we got through that, and it helped. It really did help. There's a dog in my workshop doing something that he shouldn't be doing. And she's also doing chemo at the same time for the liver cancer. And one of the doctors, she had like 5 doctors coming to see her every day in the hospital. And one of the young lady doctors said to her that it's time to get your affairs in order, you know. It's time to realize you're probably not going to win this fight. And she was mad as hell, let me tell you. She was blaming me. You told that lady to say that, didn't you? Because I had been telling her for a week or so, like, this is not looking good, right? It's time to think about what you want to do, and, you know, make a will and all of that stuff. It's time to do it. If you need it, and if you don't need it, it doesn't matter, but it's a good idea to get it done. And after that, after she calmed down, you know, you go through the stages of grief, right? And after she calmed down, and we had a long talk, we was, you know, in the hospital for days and days and days. I was there with her every step of the way. And discussed everything that she wanted to do, and making plans for the worst case scenario, right? After about a week or something, her sister came to stay with her. And I came home, and I said, when she comes here, you gotta tell her everything that's going on. Like, be honest, be straight up. It's time, you know, and your mother needs to know what's going on as well. And so that night, she sat her sister down and started talking to her, and her sister's the same way, you know. Don't say that. You're gonna win. Don't worry. You will fight and you will win. Don't worry. By the end of the night, they had come to an agreement on everything, and reality was not looking so good. That was in December 2020. I really didn't think she'd ever walk out of that hospital. It was that bad. She was home for New Year's, so 2021 came around. She's still doing chemo every 2 weeks. 1 chemo treatment, and the chemo amount got less and less as she got weaker and weaker. But the chemo really helped. It's amazing how much, I want to say power it gave her, but it made her a lot stronger. It really did. It wasn't bringing her down, it was really helping her. So if she could take it, it was a good thing. She had low blood pressure. She had blood transfusions multiple times. What else? It was bad. She did chemo up until she wasn't strong enough to do it anymore. From the time that her sister came to stay with her in the hospital, her sister was with her every day after that. From the time she came home, the pain level just went up, right? She was in a lot of pain for a long time, but the pain level just went up and up and up. She was on 3 different kinds of morphine. She was 2 different tablets and a liquid morphine, kind of like cough syrup. And then she got the fentanyl patch. That's like the patch to quit smoking, but it's powerful narcotics. When the medicine was perfect and everything, all the stars aligned, she was somewhat comfortable. But there were days, man, they could hear her 3 houses away screaming. By the end of November, I guess, she had wasted away to nothing, right? She was just skin and bones. You see those sick kids from Africa that are starving to death, and you wonder, how are they still alive? Or the POW pictures, how is this person still alive? There's nothing here but skin and bones. That's what she was like, man. There was nothing there. Nobody, if you hadn't seen her in a year, you wouldn't recognize her. She wasted away to nothing. It was unbelievable. By the time December rolled around, she was in and out. The pain level, the pain wasn't a big issue anymore, but you could almost see there was nothing in the eyes. You look in her eyes, and most days no reaction. I'm pretty sure she didn't recognize me for the last 3 days. And on December the 3rd, about 10 after 11 in the morning, she took her last breath. I was there with her. I was holding her hand. And I thought that was it. I wasn't 100% sure. I checked her to see if she was dead many times over the last 1.5 years, 2 years. She fainted in my arms multiple times. Stopped breathing when she was asleep. It definitely wasn't the first time I checked for a pulse, but this time I didn't find one. I waited about 5 minutes, maybe. Probably only a couple of minutes. It seemed like a while. Checked again, nothing. Hey, chicken, you be quiet. You too, Tom. And it was just me and Grandma in the house. Hello, Dick. I looked at Grandma and I told her it was over. And Grandma got up. Grandma's 81, yeah. Frail old lady. She was 80 at the time. Frail old lady. She got up, gave her one hell of a good shake, just to make sure. Went back and sat down. And the hardest part of all of this was when Grandma sat down, I looked at her and there was one tear rolling down her cheek. Grandma just lost her firstborn. In 2005, she lost her husband to cancer, and now cancer has taken her first child. And then all of a sudden, Grandma bounced up, yeah? Grandma can barely walk. She'd been considered, if she lived in a Western country, she'd be considered legally blind about 20 years ago, and she's a lot worse than that now. She bounced up and headed for the door. I'm like, where are you going? Going to the farm. Going to get the second daughter. She needs to know. Like, come back in and sit down. I'll call her. Within 5 minutes, she was here, and her husband and kid. And it got real strange after that, let me tell you. Dying in Thailand is different. There's no officials, there's no police, there's no doctors, there's no autopsy unless one is, asked for. And those kind of circumstances were suspicious, I guess. Within 2 hours, my house was full of people. They were cooking food for everyone. Mountains of food arrived. And for the next 7 days, we fed this entire village. It was a nightmare. It really was. For me, it was a nightmare. All the arrangements had already been made because this was coming. Within an hour, the funeral people, however that works, the people with the casket and all that stuff arrived. She was clean and all the ceremonial stuff done, which is really freaking weird. Right, Tom? Which is, for me, really weird. And she put in the casket. And then they have like a freezer thing that they put the casket into because she stayed in the house for 3 days. It's hot here, right? So they put her in this, the casket goes into this freezer thing. And basically she was frozen for 3 days. And after that, go to the temple. Each of these small villages has its own crematorium. And we went through all of that. It was weird. It was painful. It was very difficult, let me tell you. I couldn't have done it without the people around here. I was quite surprised, actually, by the amount of people that came home for this. I'm not doing this video for any kind of sympathy. I've put this video off for a long time, nearly 4 months, right? 4 months today, actually. Today is the 3rd. I'm recording this. So 4 months ago today. I'm not looking for sympathy. There will be no comments in this video, and please don't track me down somewhere else. I know what you're going to say, and thank you. There's a whole lot more to this story if I ever decide to talk about it, and maybe I will. It might help me. It's been hard, huh? It's been a tough go. Maybe I'll do more videos. I don't know, but it's time just to get the word out. Very few people know about this. I haven't told anybody other than my family. It never got shared on her Facebook page or anything, and she was friends with half the world, I think. Which I was surprised about. Nobody shared nothing. I was kept quite private, as I want it now. I'm not, like I said, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not. This wasn't a surprise. It was actually, as bad as it sounds, we were all open for it. We wanted it over with. She wanted it over with. I can talk for hours on that subject, that's for sure. But this is not the place for it. This is not the time for it anyway. Tom's strutting around outside there, showing off. And I got two dogs sitting on the same foot. Look, if you made it this far into the video, I thank you. Like I say, I'm not looking for sympathy. There's some people that need to know what's going on. And if you're one of the few that's watching this video, you probably need it to know. I really don't know what to say. Maybe that's why it took me so long to do this video. It was hard. The guy in Florida that did this video 10 years ago, he handled it a lot better than me, that's for sure. I do, Dick. It's been a hard 3 years, three years and 4 months now. It's been 3 years of worry. I tell you, that plays on you. That constant worry really plays on you. And then grief, you never know how you're going to handle grief until it's unfortunately on your doorstep. I tell you one thing, I feel bad for anybody who gets that middle of the night phone call that something horrible has happened, or you know, a loved one goes to work and don't come home, and you know, the unexpected death. I knew this was coming for over a year, and it still kicked my ass, let me tell you. So the people that get that phone call, I don't know how they get through the day, I tell you. Must be hell.